I thought we would do something fun in this video since I speak about leveling up your strategic thinking. This applies to your digital communications, your public relations, your advertising, representing your brand. And this is a perfect fit. Let's watch John Lewis's new Christmas advert for 2025. Now, I'm going to play this back with you on mute because I don't need a copyright hit. So the music plays a major part of this Christmas advert since it's actually titled it's called the title of the song. But we're going to appreciate the visuals, the storytelling, um and the kinds of trends and issues that I think this advert touches upon, which then so powerfully appeals to demographics watching this advert. So let's press play and then talk some more. Okay, so I know that we have a scene with a family, and the son over here has just been told to sort of like tidy up, and he's glancing at his father and he looks unhappy. Like there's tension, there's emotional tension. So that's immediately been built into the storytelling. So yeah, so you know where this is going to go. You know where this sort of this story is going. There's emotional tension. Let's continue. He's got my headphones on. Anxious, looking across, getting up, moving his stuff. Sister's looking, what's going on? And so again, that's kind of your usual sort of almost angst sort of takes place in family settings. One person's feeling off, the others also feel it. It kind of sends tremors into the family unit, and feeling sort of anxieties and tensions within a sort of a family household is definitely a universal issue. So again, I feel like they have used a universal experience which isn't so pretty and typical sort of Christmas postcardy. So great, let's continue. So the father has just found an unopened gift, and clearly this is what the son was anticipating or hoping for. And you've seen the son walk out, and the father has sort of looked over his shoulder, and there's some tension there. I mean, clearly you can sort of assume that there is already sort of a bit of a fractious relationship because if somebody hasn't opened your gift, you can just sort of say it plainly, oh, you forgot mine. But the fact that the son didn't feel comfortable to say, oh, you haven't opened my gift, and the father's also looking a bit nervous, again, it kind of is painting this sort of picture of father and son tension, this inability to communicate and express your emotion. And I'll come to that in a moment. I think he sort of gestures to call out for his son, but he's gone and there's no one else around, so he opens it. And it's a record, Where Love Lives, which is a epic song. And it immediately transports him to a sort of a vivid memory. And now the sun is coming down, and it's a vinyl record. So it's much more tangible, it's much more visceral. It's not something that you'd have to stream or plug in the sense that it just feels so much more meaningful. And the son takes his headphones off. It's like his armor has come off and he's coming back down the stairs because he can hear his father play his gift, the record. And again, very nervously looking in. He's nervous. Again, there's this sort of like gap in closeness. Great storytelling. And like many middle aged people, hello, me here, being transported back to a time And music does this. Music is so powerful. Takes you back to the sort of clubbing days when you were in your 20s, maybe 30s. And this is what we're seeing. I actually really wish I could play the song, but I can't. Where Love Lives, sorry. And he is just free, so free. And he's looking through the crowd and he sees his son. And his son is sort of in the shadow, like a part of him is shaded. He's not part of this rejoicing sort of memory, this experience. In fact, there's still that gap that we're feeling. And then the light actually goes out. And again, there's that gap, that kind of disappearance of connection. And the light comes on, and the father's looking through the crowd and he can't see him. And then it's just him alone on that floor. And then his son comes out of the shadows and they tentatively walk towards one another. And it's the father who has to make the first step. Come on. And immediately you see his son as that toddler. And he runs into his arms, which is such a sweet. And the thing is, like many middle-aged parents, and not only do you look back with very sort of in a very sort of fond way to your sort of early 20s, your sort of like teenage years even, but you also, if you're a parent, you look back and you think about all the wonderful memories of your children who are teenagers or older now. I know mine's only 15, and how things were simpler. It was simpler back then. And you sort of not only have sort of nostalgia for it, but a sense of loss because that sort of connection isn't there anymore because life has gotten in the way. Society has gotten in the way. All the demands, the cultures, all these things have gotten in the way and created this massive divide. And now he's holding him as a baby, which is so, so gorgeous. I think I'm watching a longer advert and he was brought to tears. I actually missed that on the first time I played it. And he's brought it sort of to tears and he's now back in the room looking up at his son and again his son, a grown teenager, is nervous, is so unsure of himself, and not knowing whether he can take that step forward to sort of connect with his father after giving him such a thoughtful gift. But he gets the sign that he needs, and his father takes a step forward and just puts his arm around him and brings him in, and they embrace. This was just gorgeous storytelling. And then they have that smile with each other, and then they're back in the room in the present moment with one another. And that is, if you can't find the words, find the gift. Incredible, just incredible storytelling. So, this is the thing about this advert, I think, which is done so powerfully, right? When we are looking at sort of our communications, I'm going to leave that bit up on screen because I thought it's a really powerful image. When we're thinking about our communications and our storytelling, our strategic storytelling, we have to think about what matters to our audience and our customers, the kinds of things that really affect them. I talk about this, I think it's in my zone 4 of sort of zeitgeist awareness and your media literacy. And we know that sort of people who buy from John Lewis aren't just going to be middle aged, maybe they're a bit younger and they're buying tech. He's got my headphones on. The Sony headphones are really cool, actually, really good noise cancelling ones, and excellent sound. But what we see here is we see two age groups, two different consumer ages, and perhaps with two different sort of consumer buying behavior. However, one has headphones on, music related, one is playing vinyl, music related, right? But then you happen to have this father and son dynamic. So now if you think about the issues going on in the world, we know there's as the media would say, male loneliness epidemic, right? there is a real fracture between parents and their teens because of all these devices and how they have kind of intercepted the connection between child and parent or caregiver. And so it's touching on all of those kinds of issues and all of those kinds of pain points. We've also got, this has been going on for ages, middle-aged people who go through crises, but also they're having to pay the bills and just go through life doing all the responsible things like having to pick up all the rubbish from the wrapping, and the kids are doing their own thing. Although, the kids are joining in, they were doing their bits. I know the daughter was. And you don't really get the chance or the space in this new modern living life to feel like you again and to have some kind of not hedonism. I mean, that would be great, but to have a sense of who you are, you know, when you're not the parent, when you're not the caregiver, when you're not sort of being the responsible person. Sorry, somebody, I posted this. Um, actually on my LinkedIn, and I was just going to remind myself of the things what I said. So I said it hit so many trends and issues, full commentary video being planned. But in a nutshell, male loneliness, disconnected with emotional distance, middle-aged disconnection from joy and passion, depressing small modern nuclear isolated family, and music being a big unifier. The list goes on. And we do see that, perhaps they had guests round, extended family, and they've left now, but otherwise you've got this sort of small family in this sort of average sort of home, um, maybe higher than average, and it's relatable, but it's also touching on some really painful things going on in our society. And one of the comments that I've just got on my LinkedIn post was, this person says, a really well thought out ad in today's day and age. The disconnection is real. It absolutely is. So I thought it was just brilliant storytelling, and wanted to share this with you. We speak about public relations, communications, we talk about marketing, we talk about the psychology of it. I apply my systems thinking lens to kind of really zoom out. I've got 7 strategic zones of interest that I use these lenses to look at different parts of your brand, your business, and we get to kind of dive deeper. And I really appreciate you taking the time and attention for this advert. What were your thoughts? I've got my public relations head on, public relations hat on. Sorry, I've been in comms and media for more than 20 years. I'm a chartered public relations practitioner, and this is the kind of stuff that I just love. I observe it and then I want to talk about it. So I thought I'd bring it to you. If you haven't already subscribed, please do consider doing so. I'll see you in the next video.